architect
Absolutely.
asking that question is going to be very different from a developer. How big is this project? And how
Yeah.
important is it for you, if we're talking about leasing this office building or something, how important is it for you to release that quickly? And what's that? What would that be worth to you? A lot of money potentially. So, and what are we talking about in terms of the fee that it would take for us to do what we need to do to give you that tool to accelerate to acceleration?
Yeah.
That's incredibly valuable. And we start to get people to think about, okay, well, this is an investment and not a cost. Like, oh, it's so expensive. Why is your stuff so expensive? But it has to be, because
Yeah.
if you go out with poor visuals, you're hurting your chances. Uh, uh, if you get ahead of your campaign and think of this as part of the investment in it, you're in a very different mindset, and then it becomes quite easy to make that argument. Apex having different services, we're also reaching out to different clients, because one of the problems that Baumberger Studio faced was we were too dependent. I was too dependent on working directly with architects, and the capabilities that architecture firms have now to produce visuals in-house is just vastly different. We still compete against the in-house groups and with architecture, and we still work with architects, but Apex, as it's conceived, primarily works with developers and agencies. So we have a different client base. We're doing renderings, films, animations for commercial and residential projects. Mostly in North America, although we have had a handful overseas. I think we're still in that mode of we want to say yes to as many things as we can where there's a good fit, where we think that there's
Yeah.
alignment. I think part of growing is we get to be a little choosier, and that would be nice too. But there are pros and cons really in that decision making. But yeah, we're getting out of the quote unquote rendering box and just like, oh, you're the rendering guys. Oh, I need a rendering. I'm going to call Apex. So we're trying to change minds, I guess, and have clients think of us and think of the industry as more of a partnership and collaboration. So we use that kind of language a lot in our messaging to convey and hopefully land with the idea that this isn't something that you just buy, you get off the shelf, and you check a box and we're done. Thank you very much. This is a customized thing that you have to do, and so we work with clients who have that same mindset, and so that affects everything we do, down to pricing and down to how long does it take to deliver. It's like people ask, oh, how much does it cost?
When the clients come to someone for a long time with a long relationship, there must be something that is extremely unique. If you would name that one unique thing.
I'll start with one. I think it's that personal connection. I think that they remember what I was doing 20 years ago, just like I remember that. It's like we have so many intangibles, other things to talk about. It's not just like asking about the kids or whatever, but we do that. But it's also just seeing each other grow through the years. So the client that I'm referring to, the project manager is now the owner. The top of the food chain for this company, and so I've seen his evolution just like he's seen mine, and so it's just really rewarding.
Hey everyone, today we have another episode of the Business of Archviz podcast, and today's guest is a special guest, a special connection for me, and he is one of the early starters in this industry, Scott Baumberger. He is running Apex Visualization today in the US, and Scott, it's a great pleasure for me to meet you in this time. Please introduce yourself briefly to the audience. Thank you.
Very good. Well, thank you so much, Anees. It's great to see you. We were just saying a minute ago how long it's been. It's so hard to stay in touch these days. So I really thank you for the opportunity to come on. Yeah, it's great to be a part of this. And so for those who don't know, I am founder, CEO of Apex. We are based in the United States, have a few employees there, and like a lot of other studios, we work in the real estate development industry. We're doing renderings, films, animations for commercial and residential projects, mostly in North America, although we have had a handful overseas.
Perfect, perfect. Great. So, Apex visualization is something you have started a couple of years ago, or last year or 2 years ago. And before that, you were running Baumberger Studio. Um, I know that Baumberger Studio was specialized in different stuff, a different style of visualization. Would you walk me through the transition or the decision behind the change of I would say, the decision behind the duplicating the business, having two companies?
Absolutely, yeah. So takes me back. I started Baumberger Studio when I went out on my own in 1999. So that's how long it's been. Um, and at first, it started as a hobby, and I wasn't necessarily tied to any particular style or technique or anything. But yeah, I just found that I had an affinity for somewhat traditional styles and looks for images, and was really a bit of a pioneer in terms of creating a digital watercolor workflow that was commercially viable. So I have had some traditional background in painting, but also deep affinity for computers, everything tech and visual. So really just marrying those two was a real just an opportunity. It was a lot of fun, but it was also a real niche in the market that was needed. And so I did that for quite a long time, but always, there were still projects out there that needed to be quote unquote photorealistic, and all you have to do is Google an image from the early 2000s to see what that would look like, and likely be horrified. But we do the best we can, right? So over the years, the industry has changed, and there's less and less a need for that type of work, which is sad in a way, but also very understandable. Things change, and um, and I think over time as well, the needs of our clients grew to the point where it was just more than what I could possibly deliver on my own. Projects get bigger, even if you're just doing, say, a handful of still images. It's a lot of work to get them to produce them. The actual just the labor involved in producing them is just simply more than one person can do on top of all the other responsibilities of uh, just managing a business, as well as marketing and making sure you get paid, all that good fun stuff. So it just got to be too much. And I was already by about 2016, 2017, just starting to feel kind of that pressure building. And even prior to the pandemic in 2019, was looking for ways to kind of tinker with the business and figure out new ways. And that was right about the time that you and I met. And so we worked very closely um, to look at ways of just retooling the business, and also reaching out for help when I needed. So, and some of those relationships I still have today. So that's been great. It was a really big turning point for me, actually. Um, and then, but I was moving along, and people still associated the name Baumberger Studio, that brand, that identity, with something that I wasn't providing anymore. And so that was another kind of aha moment where I really wanted to step back. As much of myself as I've put into it, has my name, and just 20 plus years. It was tough. It was a tough decision to make. But again, you do what you have to do. I love what I do, and I want to keep doing it. Um, so really like I said, took a step back, looked at what would it take to hire somebody. I mean, that's the big first step, and then also create a new identity, something that was more forward looking, something that spoke to where the market was today, and not necessarily where it was 10 years ago. So out of that was born Apex. We looked at hundreds, thousands of different options, different looks, different ideas, and just it was almost like a battle royale where we got down to a couple, and and then it was Apex. So I couldn't be happier with how that all turned out. I love the look of it. I think it's a really great reflection of what we're doing. My colleague Eli is based in Colorado, and I think we both have a real strong connection to just mountains and climbing and just being outside. And so if you look closely at our logo, there's a little notch in the A that kind of speaks to a mountaintop. So and obviously Apex is a summit. It speaks to uh, the highest possible quality that we can
Mhm.
provide, and for our clients and for ourselves. We want to feel really great about what we're doing. So anyway, Apex is sort of a summation of all of those things, and that was maybe not the shortest way, but it took me a long time to get to where we are now, and like I said, I couldn't be happier.
Perfect, perfect. I mean, you just answered my question. How did you name the company?
Sure, sure.
Because I mean, for me, I struggled a lot 2018 and even 17 to name the business, and then I found a course online called something Accelerator, and I
Yes.
said, let's make it Archviz Accelerator. It looks nice, okay. Then throughout the years, and said it's. I mean, in acceleration in Archviz, it's very tough. I mean, it's not realistic. You see, it takes time. It's not like just a click and it accelerates. So I mean, for now, it's like only business for Archviz. So, but yeah, I do feel like the meaning of the name is really powerful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Um, you said you and your colleague Eli. Are you still the main two in the business now?
Yes, yes, we are. And so I'm in Portland, Oregon, kind of the West Coast, and then Eli is in Denver, Colorado, kind of in the middle,
Mhm.
and up at 5,000 feet elevation. So that can kind of the tie to the mountains there. But we both work at home. We're both remote, and it's the two of us. Now, of course, when projects get big, we have assembled a team that can
Mhm.
plug in and out, um, both in the U.S. and abroad. We've had a number of consultants in South America that have been really, really helpful for us.
Mhm.
Um, not just in terms of quality, but also just the time zone is a little bit easier to manage. And there is just a really solid Archviz community um, all through South America. Really, really talented artists down there. So
Absolutely.
it's been really helpful for us.
Perfect. Perfect. Um, After you started the new company, um, you reached out to your clients and you announced the new company. Um, I mean, what was the reaction? How did they see it? You already mentioned something about the website, about how the look, how it looks.
Yeah, it was. It's a mixed bag. Some were some who also felt deeply about traditional depiction,
Hmm.
and some of that look. I've had some of these clients for 20 years. We had a really deep connection, and they're happy, 201 supportive, but there's a little tinge there of passing of something. Um, but
Yeah,
it's inevitable. But I'd say that it's been overwhelmingly supportive. It's in addition to Apex having different services, we're also reaching out to different clients because one of the problems that Baumberger Studio faced was we were too dependent. I was too dependent on uh, working directly with architects, and the capabilities that architecture firms have now to produce visuals in house is just vastly different.
absolutely.
Uh, we still compete against the in-house groups and with architecture, and we still work with architects, but Apex, as it's conceived, primarily works with developers and agencies. So we have a different client base. But to your question, though, we were able to carry over uh, more than I would have expected, quite honestly, of some of the old Baumberger Studio clients along, and we're still working with them. We've had several projects this year with that go back, in some cases, 20 years. I just did a project in New York. It was, I'll give them a shout. It's FX Collaborative. They're based in New York City. They were my first like actual real client for Baumberger Studio, and all these years later, I had a chance to work with them again. It was a thrill.
Perfect. Perfect. Yeah, amazing. If we, I mean, this is more about the business side. I mean, usually when the clients come to someone for a long time with a long relationship, there must be something that is extremely unique about either the owner or the service, the communication. If you would name that one unique thing, or I know that like, naming one thing is something hard. Maybe we can start with three things, then we can distill the first one.
I'll start with one. I think it's that
Yeah.
personal connection. I think that um, they remember what I was doing 20 years ago, just like I remember that. It's like we have so many intangibles, other things to talk about. It's not just like asking about the kids or whatever, but we do that. But it's also just seeing each other grow through the years. So the client that I'm referring to, uh, the project manager is now the owner, the top of the food
Yeah.
chain for this company, and so I've seen his evolution just like he's seen mine, and so it's just really rewarding. I think it's just another level. Um, Real estate, the architecture, Archviz, each one of these circles is smaller and smaller, and so uh, I think we all do what we can to look out for each other and help each other whenever we can. And that's not to say that they have other providers. They've worked with plenty of other rendering companies, but this one was a particularly good fit. And I'll mention we did a fully photorealistic shoot with drone photography, the whole 9 yards, but it was a really good fit for what we were doing, and we just get each other. So it was an early phase project, and they had a team of designers, and they knew what they were doing, but they needed that little something extra just to get it, over the finish line, and they just knew that I would, I would get it. I knew what they were trying to accomplish without a lot of hand holding and a lot of reviewing, and they know they could just send me off and go get it. And I think that so it's that personal connection, and it's trust. I would say if there's a second one, it's like I when I work with this group, with this provider, whatever, I trust that whatever I get is going to be amazing. Anytime you're engaging with a new company, in both directions, it's a bit of a gamble. You don't know how it's going to go. What it's going to be like. What are their um, uh, you know considerations. Their sensibilities. Um, but with this type of connection, it's like we don't have to go through any of that. We just jump right in and go.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, personal connection or personal relationship and trust that they are somehow two things for the same thing. Um, what type of offerings you are offering now in Apex?
It's going to be pretty familiar to most of your audience, I think. So we do still work with quite a number of architects and also a number, but mostly developers, agencies, on the marketing side. And so that has been a
Mhm.
big change. So whereas uh, when I was on my own, primarily offering just one-off renderings, maybe just two or three, a big project would have been five or six.
Mhm.
Now that's just kind of the middle of the road for us. But the we our bread and butter, I think, as it were, is still renderings, and
Mhm.
given that we are still a small group, we have say a lower minimum threshold that we can work, and we can fit into our pipeline. So that has been helpful for us. We have taken jobs as small as one rendering, and it's usually because of something special comes along, or we have a connection to that client. We want to maintain that. We
Mhm.
want to help them just like they're helping us. So we look for those opportunities, but then the big idea behind Apex is to be able to take on these larger projects, and it's tough. It's really hard starting from scratch because you'd love to just jump in and have uh, a team of 10 that could just knock out the next film tomorrow, uh, but there's this constant chicken and egg problem of getting that project, and then but when you have it, getting the next one, and the next one, the next one, the next one to keep everybody fit. So that's the big challenge so far. And the way that we have overcome it so far is to have a really tight core, and then we have a stable of artists who we trust, and that we know how to work with them. And they're, like I said, they're excellent artists. So, but it's a fair amount of management to make all of that go, but so far so good. Um, and then so that has allowed us to do things I could never even conceive on my own. And in a lot of ways, it's a big differentiator from where I was prior to the formation of Apex, being able to provide animations, short films. We're doing interactive virtual tours. I would have never. I have no coding background at all, but these guys do, and I love that I got a front seat to watch how these things come together, and it's been really rewarding and really fun. And um, but the reason we're doing all this research into these other offerings is to try to stay ahead of what clients can do for themselves. I think that we can touch on AI, probably spend a whole nother hour on that, but um, it's not necessarily what clients can do on their own, but what they think they can do. And and that's been a problem since 1999, right? People always, oh, well, if I can do that, I can do that,
Yeah, yeah,
Um, and I think that's only getting worse with the advent of tools like Inkscape, other real-time rendering solutions, and now finally AI, where uh, people who are technically trained or even have a different background, they think, oh well, all I have to do is just hit a button or something, make it look really cool. But that's not what we do, And I think anyone in Archviz who really gets it, lives and breathes Archviz, they understand that there's a lot that goes on behind the image to make it do what it's doing, to make it successful. So we're focusing on those things. What are those things that, in a nutshell, are not the things that clients can do for themselves? Even if you have to tell them, you even have to educate them. Like, please don't try to do that. It's not going to work.
that's great. That's great. There was a question at the detail.
Mm.
How can you convince a client to pay extra money for higher quality images when he thinks that he can do it himself or themselves?
I'll just say real quick, you have to read the room. You have to understand where that question is coming from is usually what it comes down to. It's like there's something that they're not saying that's behind that question. You can figure out what that is. And knowing where they are in the development program will give you
Yeah,
a lot of insight. An architect
absolutely.
asking that question can be very different from a developer. And so my answer to that, and I field it I get that question all the time, is what is your likely return on the investment? How big is this project, and how
Yeah,
important is it for you if we're talking about leasing this office building or something? How important is it for you to release that quickly? Um, and what would that be worth to you, right?
absolutely. I mean,
A lot of money potentially. So, and what are we talking about in terms of the fee that it would take for us to do what we need to do to give you that tool to accelerate back to acceleration?
yeah,
Uh, that's incredibly valuable. And we start to get people to think about, okay, well, this is an investment and not a cost. It's like, oh, it's so expensive. Why is your stuff so expensive? But it has to be because
yeah,
if you go out with poor visuals, you're hurting your chances. So if you get ahead of your campaign and think of this as part of the investment in it, you're in a very different mindset, and then it becomes quite easy to make that argument.
Absolutely. I find it's easier to communicate such conversation with developers
Mhm.
than architects.
Yeah.
See, architects somehow it's a different dimension. I don't know, but like everything is limited there.
Well,
Um,
they don't see the benefit of the project selling more quickly. The architect doesn't.
yeah,
So they're passing that cost through. And they're like, oh, it's a cost
true,
to us,
true.
it's a cost to them. They don't, it's cost. So um it's like, and they have the the syndrome, I guess, of like, oh well, we'll just get an intern to do it, or one of our junior guys,
Yeah,
to
absolutely.
just go do it for us for free.
It's just an
So it's
image.
that's hard barriers to overcome.
Absolutely. Um, so in Apex visualization,
Yeah.
what marketing methods do you
Oh,
perform?
yeah. It's changing all the time. It's such a moving target right now. So yeah, the first thing was the Apex website, and that's really just a business card. You just have to have it. Um, we had a very simple, almost like a landing page to begin with. But then over that first year, we really spent a lot of time on that site. We wanted it to speak to our values. We wanted to, have it be a platform, um, not just to kind of show off, although that's part of it, but to explain how we do things differently. I think it's a really hard thing to do in our industry, but and to really touch on that value proposition. Like what is it about working with us that what benefit do you as a client? Because the website is for clients. It's not. I mean, it's not for ourselves. I mean, it's a vanity
Mhm.
thing, um, but the reason it's there is so for our clients to go to it and say, well, okay, I know I need this thing, but what am I? Why should I choose Apex? Number one, but also what are the things that I should be thinking about as I make this decision? Um, so I mean, portfolio is key, and constantly updating it. But I think that we've taken a slightly different approach to an Archviz website in terms of trying to get ahead of what those concerns or questions might be that a prospective client might bring to their visit. There's a reason why they're there, right? They didn't just find you on Google for because they were bored. There's a reason they're there, and so we want to make it be as informative and valuable to them as we can.
Perfect. So website is one, updating portfolios too.
Yes. So just in the industry that we're in, I end up spending a lot of time on LinkedIn. I think that's a really valuable platform.
Mhm.
Uh, I've gotten a number of projects through just LinkedIn conversations.
Mhm.
Um, and I would say a third pillar over the last just over a year now is a podcast. I started that
Mhm.
last summer, and it's it's been great. We've gotten a couple really strong leads, really good relationships have come out of it. It's a longer game, and I think you could probably
Mhm.
tell now I'm characterizing it. Um, but there's a real there are a number of benefits of doing it, and I'm sure you're aware, but for our audience, it's number one, it gets potential clients kind of out of their, they get disarmed, right? You can talk to them about something else and make that connection. You get to talk about, well, what are your challenges, right? What do you, and for my part, I learned something on with every single guest because everybody's in a different niche, different spot in the industry. So you can't do any better market research than that. So hearing it straight from them, what are their pain points?
Yeah.
So when it comes time to do a rendering, right? What are you thinking about? What's like tell me what are the where's the friction? And you hear it straight away. It's like, oh, it's never fast enough and it's expensive. Whatever it is, right? Um, and so that's incredibly valuable. And that has really helped shape our subsequent campaigns.
Mhm.
Just the that stealthy market research that we get from them.
Mhm.
But I would say it's you know it's a way to engage with a prospect that's very different and much more appealing. There's a tangible benefit to them as well. They can promote what they're doing. Most of the people that I'm talking to are in marketing departments of
Mhm.
companies, and so uh,
Yeah.
it's a platform for them to talk about what they're doing, and I think that there's value there. I mean, I don't have a crazy audience or anything, but they can promote it on their channels, and it's another piece of content that is just sort of handed to them. That's really engaging. I think podcasts are um, uh, they break through the scroll. You know, if you're scrolling on LinkedIn or YouTube, anywhere else, they're going to pop through. So um, and I would say lastly, for me, my perspective, just working at home, it's great to have these conversations just to get me out of my box because
Yeah.
we have the same kickoff meetings. You know, they're every project is different. You know, but there is a monotony to it all, and review number one and review number two, and okay, here we go. It's
Yeah.
fun, it's exciting, I love it, but there is a rhythm to it that can get stale. And so this is a way to really break out of that box. And for me, I get to have really different conversations as well. So I thoroughly enjoy it, and it's been great.
Do you find it easy to get the guests?
Yes and no. You know, I started with my existing network, just past
Mhm.
clients. That was kind of the low-hanging fruit, right? And
Mhm.
that was great. So some of the first few guests were actually clients, and so we could talk about, just just we don't have to break any kind of ice there. So that makes
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
easy. Um, but yeah, it's like, but that's useful, and that gets you kind of that momentum, as you're first getting started. I think that was really helpful.
Mhm.
But for me, thinking about what is the podcast really about, it's about reaching out to other parts of the industry that I'm unfamiliar and learning, and
Mhm.
meeting new people and giving them a chance, um, to talk to their audience and hopefully learn a little bit about Apex in the process, right? But yeah, so the number of different ways. I've done, just searches, for different, job titles and different companies. Just tried
Mhm.
to search that way. Um, we've done some cold email. We've done some, warm-ish email. We've done LinkedIn outreach to just test the waters and. Um, having done lots of different kinds of campaigns, I will say that the podcast campaigns are one of the most successful in terms of like open rates and response rates because it's that cuts through the noise. It's like, oh, there he's not trying to sell me something, right? It's
Yeah.
like, sure, that could be fun, right? Um, so it's a different kind of proposition, and so in many ways, it's a lot easier to get somebody to buy into that rather than to bite off a big rendering project or whatever.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's great, really. Um, cool. And what do you think about how do you see Apex in the future? I mean, what plans do you have for the future?
Thanks. We've been at Apex for about 2.5 years, and it still feels like we're just getting started. Um, it's been a difficult time, to be honest with you on that front. Uh, Timing is you never hit it just right, but it has been an especially difficult 12, 24 months with the markets that we're working in. And I know a lot of us out there are probably struggling right now too. So but I am hopeful that things are about to improve. We are still a small group. I mentioned earlier, it's like I would love to be up at 10, be able to just kind of flex and be, have a broader, um, offering. There are other things that we would like to be able to do that would help our clients that we sometimes have to partner with. And we would love to like just have all of that under our Apex umbrella. So, um, but at the same time, we're moving forward with a lot of R&D into the real time
Mm-hmm.
AI. I mean, with an eye for what we want to do with it, which is very different than our clients. But we have used it. We're continuing to explore it, what is possible there. Um, and then yeah, just continue to refine our work, our processes, to make it as uh, not just as efficient for ourselves, that's important, but uh, from the client perspective, that client focus, make the experiences pleasant, fun, uh, as it can possibly be. Everybody's so busy. We want to hit the that responsiveness that is just right with our client. Sometimes that's too much. Oftentimes it's too little. Uh, some clients they say just go, do something cool and send it back to me, and we're good. Some clients really want to get their hands on it and look over your shoulder and all of this. So uh, we we're working on ways of refining that communication and making sure that well, my job is to make sure that we're working with the right clients so that we have the right level of engagement. And then but as Apex, we want to make sure that our systems are such that it's especially tailored to that.
Perfect. Perfect. Um, if you remember in 2020, you had an idea about the Archviz consultant. Okay. And you told me that that's something you were studying for a long time. You wanted to bring it to the front. Um, did you move forward with this idea? I mean, for now, I think Apex is an ArcBase consultant for developers, right? Or
Yeah,
maybe more of visual communication for marketing campaigns somehow.
I think we're still in that mode of want to say yes to as many things as we can where there's a good fit, where we think that
Mhm.
there's
Yeah.
alignment. Uh, uh, I think part of growing is we get to be a little choosier, and that would be nice too. But there are pros and cons really, in that decision making. Um, but yeah, we're getting out of the quote unquote rendering box and just like, oh, you're the rendering guys. Oh, I need a rendering. I'm going to call Apex. So we're trying to uh, change minds, I guess, and have clients think of us and think of the industry as more of a partnership and
Mhm.
collaboration. So we use that kind of language a lot in our
Mhm.
messaging to convey and hopefully land with the idea that um, this isn't something that you just buy, you get off the shelf, and you check a box and we're done. Thank you very much. Now, this is
Mhm.
something that we create together, just like if you're creating a building, that doesn't just happen. It takes a team. It takes
Mhm.
thoughtfulness and ingenuity and um, this is a customized thing that you have to do. Um, and so we work with clients who have that same mindset, and so that affects everything we do, down to pricing and down to how long does it take to deliver. It's like people ask, oh, how much does it cost? How long does it take? It's like, well, I don't know. I need to ask some questions of you before I do that. Oh, give me a price sheet, right? That's a very common request. Like we don't have that. That's not appropriate. So um,
Absolutely.
yeah, hopefully I answered your question on that.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, cool.
Um, in the audience who will see this episode, there will be some starters, there will be some experienced. What advice would you give for the starters, and what advice would you give for the experienced ones?
Um, I would say for starters, I would say don't just go. write out on your own. Make sure that I think in this day that it's important to work with others who are doing the same thing. Um, Before I went out on my own, I had already worked for a number of different architecture firms and had been out in the industry for 10 years or so. Um, so it's important to see how other people do it, how like you're just gonna learn so much. And I think that that is a risk today in our remote world of every and sort of the gig economy, as it were, of everybody just sort of doing their own thing and figuring it out on their own, in a bubble, and it's easy to make a lot of mistakes and not even be aware of them for a long time. So I would encourage people starting out to really work and engage, learn the as much about the full suite of what it is that we do, and not just get locked into, oh well, I'm really good at texturing or lighting or whatever. I think that's a real or I'm really good at a tool is even worse. I'm awesome with Forest Pack or Corona or something. Um, like that can be really problematic over time. So you want that mindset of I create visual solutions. I create beautiful work for my clients, artistic representations, whatever that is. Um, Digital twins. There are any number of ways that you can find a niche, um, but you'll never. I can't think of anyone who's just done that like from their basement or whatever, from
Yeah,
their
that's
their
true.
their their living room, and been successful with that. So starting out, I would really encourage you to work as closely with you can with others. And for more experience, I would say. Um, Stay nimble. I It was hard. It was hard for me. You get really locked into what works for you, what's working for you now, may not work for you in 5 years or less. It's moving quickly, so really important to um, stay client focused. But I think as long as you listen to them, like really, really listen to them, and understand what uh, what their concerns are today and what their concerns are will be tomorrow, regardless of your tool, size of your team, whatever, you'll be fine.
Perfect, perfect. Scott, thank you very much. That was really insightful, not only
Oh,
for the audience, also for me. As you said, you learn at least a couple of things from each guest. Um, Thank you very much, and goodbye, everyone. Goodbye, Scott.
all right. Thank you, Anees.